So with the Redline kit, of course, comes with one of the most important parts, the sticker. Then they come with printed off instructions on how to install the two upper mounts and the two lower mounts with really nice anodized, looks like red anodized aluminum anchors. They even gave you a step bit, which, by the way, if you all have not used a step bit, they're amazing for several different applications. So I like that they gave you that. A nice plastic template, because you do have to drill through the battery cover, and then of course the struts themselves. So the tools that you'll need to provide for the job are a center punch, a hammer, a ratchet, a 13mm socket, and electric drill to use with the step bit. Okay, the instructions mention starting with the passenger side. I'm actually going to start with the driver's side because it's the most, it's the simplest one to do, just because you don't have to deal with the battery cover. So you take this top hood hinge nut off. Because they painted over it, it's taken a minute. And then the hood strut bracket just goes on that top bolt, like so, and bolts down. So next we're going to install the ball stud on the driver's side, and it said that you want a couple threads showing on the inside of the red anodized piece to get started, and no more than that. And it's going to go in this little slot here with the ball towards the outside of the car. And it's meant to perfectly fit in there. So it's a tight fit, but it'll go in there, and then make sure that it's oriented a certain way. Yeah, so make sure that it's oriented. They have a nice little diagram here. So before you tighten it down fully, make sure that it's going from front to back along with the car. So like this. And you pull up on the bolt as you're tightening it down, and it'll hold it. Since it's an oval shape, it'll hold it in the hole as you're tightening it down. Which is a bit of a tedious process. Alright, and this is the finished product. So you have the bottom ball stud and the top one. Okay, for the driver's side we're going to go ahead and do the hood bracket now. Now I have a 2018 and the instructions say to do, for 2018 and up, you do not have to worry about removing this, this windshield wiper fluid hose and relocating it to the bracket. They say that you can just reuse it, or you can just leave it where it's at. I feel like it would actually fit better if we do remove it and relocate it into the bracket. So I'm going to just wiggle on it a little bit and it'll come right out. You don't need any tools to remove it. Go ahead and tighten this bracket back up. Tighten this nut back up on the bracket. And then relocate the hose back in the hole. I'm actually going to need to bring the bracket over just a little bit. And then tighten it up. And then relocate the hose. Just like that. Now that's in there. Just give it one little, make sure it's getting tight. Now we're going to take off this little plastic pin here. Pull that out. Take the template that they provide, a little plastic template, and it should line up right with the curve and this line on the battery cover. And go ahead and put the plastic pin back in. To keep that centered. Line it up with the line on the battery cover. And then take your center punch. I don't have a really nice auto punch. I would like to get one at some point. So I'm just going to use a hammer the old-fashioned way. Knock a little hole in there. This was a close-up. I put the plastic pin back in its original hole and I lined up that template with this line on the battery cover, and then I knocked the hole using the punch right there. And so now we're going to remove this battery cover all the way and take it over onto the bench and use the step bit that they provided and drill a hole. Okay, so it says to drill a 3/4 inch hole, which using the step bit is basically the full size of the bit. There are markings on it. So we're going to go all the way through, starting with the hole that we started with the center punch. I just go all the way through like that. Get all the plastic off. Clean it up a little bit. Not a necessary step, but I like to just I have this rounded file. I'm just going to get in here and clean some of the shavings off that wouldn't pull off. Cleaning up the underside. Now that we got that cleaned up, we can reinstall the battery cover. And I have to go find a plastic pin that I dropped now before we can do that. Alright, so I'm going to try to get in here and get a shot of this. So on the red anodized piece, you can actually see that it fits perfectly in that oval hole. Let's see if I can, there you go. And that's what's going to hold that in place. So as you pull up, and that's the tedious part, is with two hands it's a lot easier. You pull up and it locks in, and then you can tighten down the bolt. So I'm going to set this down and finish tightening up the passenger side. Alright, so now that we have that installed and tightened down, go ahead and reinstall the battery cover. And there are 3 tabs in the back that just slide into place, and then push this push this down over the wires, and then push this down over the ball stud. And slide it down at an angle there. Slide this down over the ball stud here. Do that first. Yeah. There it goes. Pop that over. It's definitely a tighter fit. They mentioned that if you want an ease of installing and removing the battery cover, to cut a small slit in the battery cover. I'm trying to not cut into it too much if not necessary, but I imagine that as the car gets older, as I work on it more, I'll probably want to cut a slit into it just to be able to slide it on and off without having to remove the shock. So now we can actually install the struts. Okay, so the body of the strut goes on top, and it looks like, just make sure, I've used these before in other cars, just kind of make sure that that C-clip's a little out of the way so it'll go on there pretty easily, and you just kind of rock it back and forth, and it'll snap on. And then to remove them, you'll use a screwdriver to pull that C-clip back. And I'm actually going to pull the hood up a little bit, and then rock on the other one. Have to remove. It actually mentions getting someone else to help with this. I do not have that at the moment, so I'm just going to hold the hood up and then rock it back and forth and try to get this bottom one on, which is being more of a pain. See if I can get the driver's side one first. Maybe gonna start with the bottom one first on this one. It's a little tighter down there with the fender being right there. There we go. Now we can actually hold the hood up. Lower it down and lock that one into place. Now that that one's on, it's a little easier to work the hood by myself. Let's see if I can kind of rock this one on. There it goes. Now it's on there. Make sure the C clamp is all the way in. And it's locked on. Whoa. Nice. Man, that is going to be nice. Really wish they would have came with these from factory. So yeah, and that's the install of the Redline hood struts. Definitely worth the purchase. Now I can work on it a lot easier and not burn my hands whenever I open up the hood at events. So I decided to change it and reroute the line behind the strut. It was just cleaner instead of it dangling out here. Stays out of the way.